Thank you very much indeed, Karen. Yes, looking at financial markets in Europe, the trading day has just kicked off. And actually, that situation with regards to Ukraine is very much weighing on the minds of investors and market traders as they react to all the news that has been coming out of Washington. So Karen there mentioning the fact that the US has announced that it is pausing military aid for Ukraine. Interestingly, during the last few days and weeks, we have seen defence stocks, for example, listed in Europe do extremely well off the back of that news. And we'll see reaction to what Ursula von der Leyen was just outlining there in Brussels as well. But if we just bring you the latest on tariffs, as you've been hearing, Donald Trump has doubled down on his threat of tariffs, saying that time ran out to reach a deal. So from 5 GMT this morning, the US imposed new charges on goods imported from Canada, Mexico and China. So in the case of Canada and Mexico, the tariff on all imported goods to the US is 25%. Officials from both countries have been in Washington in recent days, and they've been trying to broker a reprieve on this, but they were not successful. Canada has already said, therefore, it will impose retaliatory tariffs against US imports of $155 billion, with the first $30 billion starting today. And these will affect all sorts of goods, food, clothing and energy. Trump has also hit China with additional 10% tariffs today. This is on top of the 10% that was imposed on Chinese exports in February, meaning goods from the world's number 2 economy will face a levy of at least 20% now. And Beijing responded by saying it's imposing its own additional tariffs of between 10 and 15% on some US products. That will start on the 10th of March. And these products is a whole range as well, including food, vegetables, biotech instruments and all sorts, aviation. US stock markets, not surprisingly, off the back of the announcement from the White House that these tariffs would be going ahead, responded pretty badly. That was the close of trade on the Nasdaq on Wall Street. We also saw the Dow and the S&P lose quite a bit of ground. Let's have a listen in again to what President Trump had to say on this.
No room left for Mexico or for Canada. No, the tariffs, they're all set. They go into effect tomorrow.
Mr. President, just to follow up on my colleague's question.
And just so you understand, vast amounts of fentanyl have poured into our country from Mexico. And as you know, also from China, where it goes to Mexico and goes to Canada. And China also had an additional 10, so it's 10 plus 10. And it comes in from Canada and it comes in from Mexico. And that's a very important thing to say.
Let's be clear. If Trump is imposing tariffs, we're ready. We are ready with $155 billion worth of tariffs, and we're ready with the first tranche of tariffs, which is $30 billion, which is already known.
And we'll be getting more reaction from Canada in a moment. But first of all, let's focus on Mexico. So the Mexican currency, the peso, has fallen quite a bit, down around 1% since the new tariffs were confirmed. I spoke to Juan Carlos Baker. He is former Deputy Trade Minister of Mexico, and he gave me his thoughts on these latest developments from Mexico City.
I think that the plan, as you mentioned, has been touted for a while. President Sheinbaum has repeatedly stated that Mexico does have a plan, but the reality is that details of such plan have not been disclosed as of yet. My guess is that the president was waiting until the very last moment to see if the tariffs do come into effect, because in the past, President Trump at the very last minute withdrew his threat. It doesn't seem to be the case now. So we would be expecting the official Mexican reaction tomorrow morning once that the president delivers her daily press conference, and where details we expect will be laid out. However, speculation is that such plan B involves what the Mexican retaliation would be against U.S. goods exported to Mexico in a similar fashion to what Canada has already announced. But reality is that we do not know those details just yet.
Many American companies, big names in the car industry, for example, have got factories in Mexico, make their goods in Mexico, which are then brought in to America. Talk us through the impact this will have.
Well, there will be two types of impacts, Ali. The most immediate one would be, of course, the hit that the stock market, exchange rate,